The United States and China are the world's two largest economies, deeply intertwined in trade, technology, and manufacturing. But what if that relationship came to an abrupt halt? Imagine a scenario where the US and China completely stop trading, no imports, no exports, no economic interaction. How would this impact global supply chains, financial markets, and everyday consumers? Who would suffer the most, and could either country emerge as the dominant superpower? In today's video, we'll explore the economic, political, and social consequences of a US-China trade cutoff. Stay tuned until the end, where we analyze whether the world could survive without the economic engine of this trade relationship. Before we dive into the hypothetical, let's understand why the US and China are so dependent on each other. 1. China as the world's factory. The US heavily depends on China for manufactured goods, including electronics, clothing, and household items. Many American companies, including Apple, Tesla, and Nike, source products and materials from China. 2. US as China's largest market. The US is one of China's biggest export destinations. Billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods flow into the US each year, fueling China's manufacturing sector. 3. Tech and intellectual property. The US leads in technology and innovation, with China depending on American semiconductors, software, and patents. However, China has been working on reducing this dependence. 4. Agricultural exports. The US exports large quantities of soybeans, pork, and other agricultural goods to China, making China a vital market for American farmers. 5. Financial markets. China holds over $800 billion in US Treasury bonds, making it a significant player in America's financial stability. Now, let's break down what happens if all of this suddenly stops. The first and most obvious impact of a complete US-China trade cutoff would be economic devastation on both sides. Supply chain disruptions. The US relies on China for crucial components like semiconductors, batteries, and rare earth minerals. Many industries, from smartphones to electric vehicles, would be paralyzed. Massive job losses. Millions of jobs in both countries are tied to trade. US retailers, manufacturers, and agricultural workers would be hit hard. Skyrocketing prices. With Chinese goods no longer flooding US markets, prices for everyday items like clothing, electronics, and household goods would spike. Stock market chaos. Financial markets would react violently, with the Dow Jones and Shanghai Composite plunging as investors panic. Economic recession. Both economies would likely enter a severe recession, disrupting global financial stability. If trade between the US and China stopped, here's how America would struggle. Shortages of essential goods. Everything from pharmaceuticals to auto parts could become scarce. Many US factories depend on Chinese materials. Higher costs for businesses. US companies would have to find alternative suppliers, likely at a higher cost, which would increase prices for consumers. Farming crisis. American farmers would lose a massive export market, leading to economic collapse in rural areas. Tech industry shock. Companies like Apple and Tesla rely on Chinese production. Moving manufacturing elsewhere would take years and billions of dollars. While China is the world's largest manufacturing hub, a trade cutoff with the US would bring serious challenges. Collapse of exports. The US is one of China's biggest customers. A loss of this market would mean factory closures and widespread unemployment. Foreign investment decline. Many global companies invest in China due to its access to the US market. A trade war would scare off foreign investors. Technological setback. China still depends on American chips and software. A sudden ban on tech trade could stall China's AI and semiconductor industries. Financial instability. China holds a large portion of US debt. A trade cutoff could force China to dump US bonds, leading to economic turbulence. How do you think a total trade cutoff between the US and China would impact the world? Would it be catastrophic or an opportunity for new economic alliances? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into global geopolitics, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more insightful analysis. This wouldn't just be a problem for the US and China. The entire global economy would suffer. Supply chain chaos. Countries like Germany, Japan, and South Korea rely on US-China trade for their own industries. Rising inflation worldwide. As goods become scarcer, prices for raw materials and consumer products would increase. New trade alliances. Countries like India, Vietnam, and Mexico might step up as alternative trade partners. Increased military tensions. Economic instability often leads to geopolitical conflicts. Could this trigger a Cold War, or worse? Could the world adapt? While a trade war would be devastating, the world would eventually adapt. The US might turn to other suppliers. India, Vietnam, and Latin America could become key partners. China would focus on domestic growth. China has been increasing self-sufficiency, which could help it weather the storm. Tech innovation would accelerate. Both countries would rush to develop independent supply chains for semiconductors, energy, and other critical industries. But even with adaptation, the economic scars could last decades. A complete trade shutdown between the US and China would shock the global economy, devastate supply chains, and drive up prices worldwide. Both nations would struggle, and the ripple effects would impact every country on Earth. While adaptation is possible, the transition would be painful and could spark new geopolitical conflicts. So, is a US-China trade cutoff likely? Probably not. Both nations understand how much they need each other. But as tensions rise, the possibility of economic decoupling grows. What do you think? Could the world survive without US-China trade? Do you think the world could survive a US-China trade war? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive into global geopolitics. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.